So I'd love to start off, first off, by hearing from both of you on whether you feel successful right now. When was that moment where you felt like, okay, I've made it, things are going in my direction, I feel successful?
When I was a waitress, I felt like I was peaking at success. I was like, this is it. This is my time. I mean, I think there are many moments in your career where you feel that feeling when you're like, oh, wow, things are really happening, or like something great happens and you have that feeling. But I think it's a constant like pursuit. It's about what challenges you, what you're passionate about, what you give a shit about, and going after those things and being successful in those things, for me.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with that. Like, her saying that it's constant. For me, I would describe it as like a moving goalpost, where it's like you celebrate in those moments. Like, yeah, I did it, but what's next? What am I doing? And how can I do it better than I did it before? So just to be able to have that mindset and to be able to have constant goals that you're fulfilling feels like such a privilege.
How do you decide, okay, here's the time to move on from this project, or here's the time to kind of move on to the next thing? How do you kind of keep success going like that?
As time goes on, you care about different things. You know, when I moved out here, I wanted to be famous. I wanted to have money. I didn't want to rely on anyone. I didn't want anything to do with my parents were so disorganized and such disasters. I was like, I just want none of that. Like, I want a cleaning lady at my house every day. I want a clean house. You know, your goal, and I was 19 years old. So, you know, you get a little bit of that, and then your goals start to change, you know, and you start to think about bigger things, or what matters to you changes over time. So I think it's really about being authentic. Like, I really try not to do anything ever for the paycheck. I just really try not to, you know, do something that I don't care about for a paycheck. I have to care about it. And I have to be able to, get behind it psychologically, and that's something that excites me, you know? So I'm not going to be doing like a perfume ad. That doesn't excite me. I don't care about perfume.
Is it tough saying no to that? Is it tough for perfume company dangles tons of money at you?
Luckily, no perfume companies are like knocking down my door, but one is called Regret, and so that would be my perfume if I ever had one. Regret, with me walking out of some guy's apartment.
I'm also motivated by fear. Like, I'm motivated by, I'm never gonna have this opportunity again. I'm never gonna be able to given this chance. People are gonna figure out that I don't have shit to say. You know, like those kind of things. So I have to say it all now while people are still listening. And I think that's also what excites me. Like, I love to prove people wrong. I love for people to doubt me. And all of those things are just so negative that I said, but that's what drives me.
Well, and on your show, you've talked about imposter syndrome, something I think all of us deal with in our own ways. How do you get past that?
People tell you like you don't belong there a lot, and sometimes it's from other women, which doesn't feel great, because you're like, you're supposed to be my champion, and you're the one I'm up against. You know, and that happened to me a lot early in my career, like not female comedians, but women in positions of power that had the ability to give me a break or give me slots at a comedy club or whatever. That was disenchanting, because it was a great lesson, though, because from that day on, I was like, I'll never, ever treat a woman like that. I don't ever want a woman to feel like I'm not on your side. So people always go, is it tough to be in a boys' club? Like, when you're doing a stand-up and there wasn't that many women, there still aren't enough women. But the challenges come from all different walks of life. So it's you have to have a conversation with yourself all the time. Like, I can't listen to all that noise, good or bad. You shouldn't read articles about yourself, unless you wrote them.
For me, it's just about like, being black in this industry and being told that I didn't have an audience, and that, there isn't work, or we can't find jobs for you. It's for me, it's about providing those opportunities. And now that the door is open for me, making sure that door stays open so that other people can walk through and tell their stories.
Do you feel like you miss entertainment a bit?
No, I just look at this as like a little break. I mean, I don't miss anything really. I'm not very sentimental. I have like a chip missing. Like I'm always this way. I don't look that way. So for me, it's just, I don't have a choice right now. I don't feel like I have a choice. I have the resources to not do, what I mean? I want to travel around the country and go speak at colleges and talk to kids and talk to people who have different opinions than I do. And talk about all the things that matter that, I wasn't paying attention to with a full-time gig. I wasn't. It was a real wake-up call this election, and I want to be informed. I want to meet people that I know nothing about. I want to understand better. And so that's my goal.
What did you make of Frances McDermott's point at the end of her speech on Sunday at the Oscars? Do you think that there's a different way to solve this?
Yeah, I think it's great that like white people are catching up. I think that that's one of those things where it's just like, it's something that we've known and that we've done and practiced what we've sort of preached. And it's great to have that announcement so that people are pressured in a way. Because sometimes that's what it takes is pressure to be like, oh, dang, Sheila's doing it, Frances is doing it. Okay, I guess I gotta, figure it out. And it's sad that you kind of have to guilt people into doing what's right, but it is right, because it's been such an exclusive industry for a very long time, intentionally exclusive. And you have so many people in positions of power acting like they know what sells. And in some cases they do, but in some cases they're so outdated and their ideals are so archaic that you kind of need to force them to think differently.
I think that's right. I think you can be part of the system and not be aware enough about what's going on. I'm part of the system, and how much time did I spend thinking about inclusivity when I was in my 20s? I didn't. I didn't start thinking about it until probably about 10 years ago, where I was starting to really think and educate myself. And it's embarrassing to say that. It's embarrassing that, people have a right to be fucking pissed off and angry. They do. So it's all of our duties to I read this quote yesterday. I'd like to take credit for it, but it's not mine. But you don't just fight for yourself. You fight for every self. You fight for everybody. And that I love.
For instance, Reed Hastings of Netflix has said that he doesn't think inclusion writers are the way to go about this, that he feels like that's not the right answer. So do you feel like we're going to see this adopted wholesale by the industry?
I feel like things are changing. I think this is a movement.
I know what I'm going to do, and I know what a lot of my peers are going to do. And I think if other people are serious about, if they want to practice what they preach, then they'll do it too. And if you want, you'll stand out. And if that's what you want to do, then great. But I think now is a time where people are realizing their voices are really, they have an impact, and we'll see. And it's annoying. It's annoying to have to always be the one to be like, hey guys, we don't have any black people in this, department. We don't have any people of color in this department. Can we do better? And now it's just I literally just had a phone call yesterday from, with the director who was just like, yeah, when I came down last year we did great, but this year it was kind of we were missing some faces. And I was like, let me go say something again, and it takes that. It takes someone being aware, because you can just fall in line and just be like, okay, we're moving, we're running. But it takes effort, and I think people have to be willing to make that effort.
How do people who are not famous when should they know when they can be outspoken, when they can make a dramatic change in their careers?
I'm a really big proponent of just listening to yourself. Your gut instinct is always right. And anytime something's off or wrong, it is. If you think your boyfriend's cheating on you, you probably is. Instincts 90% of the time, 99% of the time, I would say. In my own experience, I would say that is always the guiding force. And it does take a leap of faith, but a leap of faith is what leads to big things. You got to take chances and take risks and fall off a cliff and hope for the best. I think that's the most energizing thing about being alive and being part of, not everybody has a luxury to make a career change whenever in their lives, obviously. But you should work really hard at getting what you want.
And I also think this is the age of, and this is a time of everybody having a voice. There's so many platforms dedicated to giving the average person a voice. And so you can speak out and you can, make shit. As someone who has just taken a chance and made shit, it's crazy to see where that's taken me because of these platforms where you can just speak out.
For someone who wanted to follow you both, what's the kind of best advice you've received in your career?
This is cliche, and I'm sure everyone's heard it before, but it's it doesn't matter how many people say no to you. You just need one person to say yes. And then the floodgates open, and it's a domino effect. And rejection is everywhere. It's in our personal lives, it's in our professional lives. It's no. You're not this, you're not pretty, you're not smart enough, you're not skinny enough, whatever the fucking thing is. You're not enough. And you are enough. And you have to believe in yourself, because that comes across and you can exude that. And it's powerful.
I guess to tap into what makes you you, because nobody else has that. Same cliche shit, but it is something that I felt has really empowered me, of just oh shit, I'm me. There's no one else like me, and that is what makes me special. That is what's unique. That is my currency to a degree. And I think in tapping into what makes you wholly you, that's magical and that's important, and that's the only kind of individual thing that you have.
what's ahead for you both? I'd love to get a little more detail on kind of your goals and kind of what you see going forward.
I have a problem with that question, mostly because I'm not a planner and like I don't have any idea what I'm gonna do tomorrow. I mean, I really don't, unless like I look at my calendar and I have to be somewhere, which is usually the case, and I'm like, oh shit, how did this happen? You know, and then I'm in Pennsylvania again going, fuck. But I'm not, I don't know if you're like this, but I'm just not goal-oriented in that way. I'm not, you know, I'm just kind of like, I'll see where the wind blows me. And I'm impulsive, and I like the way that I live my life like that. I like that I don't have big plans. And I'm not type A in that way. I just don't have that. I don't know, how are you?
Yeah, I think I've changed. Like, I think when I was younger, when I was like the 19 and, you know, told myself by 21, I'm about to get an Oscar, and didn't have a script, but was just like, you know, this is the goal. And so then I
Gotta
realized,
get that O.
Yeah, it made no sense. But I think after that, I was like, oh, I'm just setting myself up for disappointment. And so I put things out there. Like, my friends convinced me to do a vision board one year. We had a vision board party. And I like to put things out there. Like, I love New Year's resolutions. I don't say by January 14th, I'm gonna have this, but I like to put things out there so that once I say it to myself, it's on my mind and I'll make it happen.
You know, like I've done that and it does work. It totally works.
Chelsea says say no to the perfume, say no to perfume ads and everything else too. Issa, what are you saying no to though?
Well, still what she said, like just things that don't interest me and things that I don't feel like I can authentically talk about. Like, it brings me so much joy to be like, oh no, I don't need to do that, or I don't need to take that check, because I know that I would just be faking it and compromising kind of what I truly like and what I believe in. And so I say yes to things that excite me and that I would genuinely use. I would buy your regret perfume without a doubt. And if you're looking for people to endorse it, I will go into many men's bedrooms and walk out of them, no problem.
Curious for both of you, a woman outside of your family who you found had the biggest impact on your career, or that you found to be a particular inspiration, kind of how you found your success.
Yeah, I'd say Shonda Rhimes. Like I was saying earlier, like she won in putting someone on television who was a woman of color, who was just dope and strong, and, you know, like made network executives wake up and be like, oh shit, like Black people watch TV and they want to see themselves. Like, that was amazing. And then she was also one of the first people to take a chance on me in my own career. And I just love how many doors she's opened and has kept open.
I'm going to say Shonda Rhimes.
What is your Shonda?
I'm just going to say it because I think she has opened the doors for women. I mean, we did a dinner party at my house for my Netflix show with Kerry Washington and all the other, and Katie Lowe's and all the girls on Scandal, the lead girls. And Kerry Washington, to her credit, I said we want to do, you know, a dinner party with the leads of all you and the president, whatever his name is, and, you know, and she's like, no, I want it to be all women. And I talked about Shonda and, you know, Shonda Land and the environment she's created, and the fact that she changed the trajectory of women of color for the entire industry, you know, by putting Kerry Washington in that role, and as she should have. And it's sad that we needed a woman of color to do that for a woman of color. Like, she had to make us all go, oh, hello, why didn't anyone else think of that? You know, because why would they? Why would they think of it? You know, they have a formula that they think works, which is back to her point of saying, you know, they think they know everything, executives and creative people. And it's like, you don't know everything because everything hasn't been seen yet. So you don't know what someone has to offer. And if somebody is really passionate about what they do, then you should give them a chance to do it.
Do you feel like that's finally changing? I mean, do you feel like we're finally at this moment, though, where entertainment executives are saying, okay, like, yes, like we need more of this. This can't.
I like what she said. It's like, I know what I'm going to do. And that's how we should all, you know, I know what I'm going to do. You know, I know what I have to do moving forward within my company, within my projects, within everything. And you can't have people going, oh, I'm so sick of this conversation. It's like, too bad, buddy. You know, men saying, I don't like this time's up thing. It's like, it's enough. Or me too. It's like, when is this going to be over? It's like when you stop asking why it's happening. That's when it's going to be over.